They look at your watch, your shoes, your hand. Everybody who's in sales should know this, and everybody who's in sales who takes it seriously takes care of his hands and fingernails.
I think the formal gestures, how to introduce yourself, how to chat, that is important. And then I can use the time the client gives me to impress him with my product. So this guy said, would you sit in your car if I shot at it? And I said, yeah, let's go and do it.
Now I would really like to know if he does it or not.
So he took his weapon, I was inside the car, the camera was there, and the guy opened fire on the car.
We're being shot at! Don't cry! Go by. Jesus Christ!
Unfortunately, he also destroyed the outside mirror of the vehicle. But yeah, besides that, there was only cracks in the paint.
Just chip the paint. Yeah.
We've seen the Iraq War from the perspective of soldiers, their families, and the civilians caught in the crossfire. But what about the salesman? This is who Michael Tucker and Petra Epperlein turned their focus on after making Gunner Palace, one of the quintessential documentaries about the Iraq War. In their new documentary, Bulletproof Salesman, they follow Fidelis Cloer, a German who specializes in selling armored cars in some of the world's most dangerous war zones. This of course would make Cloer a war profiteer, and Cloer himself admits that peace hurts his bottom line. But as we follow him from Iraq a few months after the fall of Baghdad to Afghanistan, we see that Cloer, an intelligent, professional, unapologetic businessman who believes in his product and knows what his customers need even before they do, defies such easy categorization. Cloer understands that in his business, catastrophe for most means opportunity for him. So when Baghdad falls, he heads to Iraq to peddle his German-made luxury armored cars. But when he gets there, it seems like he's the only Westerner who actually understands what's going on. The border security is lax, the US military presence is light, and no one seems to realize that they're sitting on a powder keg. At first, the demand for his vehicles is light, but as the IEDs start going off, the orders start flooding in, making you wonder how a salesman could have assessed the situation in Iraq so accurately while the Bush administration was completely off guard by, well, everything. At first, Cloer considers Iraq to be the perfect war, where high-ranking officials, media, contractors, and businessmen will all need his cars to survive the hundreds of ambushes and explosions ravaging the country. And Cloer definitely knows how to pitch his wares, from keeping his fingernails clean and dressing the part to allowing a potential customer to shoot up one of his cars with Cloer inside. The film jumps back and forth between Iraq and Cloer's testing ground at an undisclosed location in Bavaria, where Cloer tests his vehicles against larger and larger explosives to keep up with what you might call the changing marketplace. And even when one of his clients is killed, Cloer understands that the best way for him to improve his product is to study how they fail in the real world. But as the IEDs become more powerful, Cloer realizes that Iraq is no longer the place for him. That's because he sells a high-quality product with a price to match, but lower-cost and lower-quality competitors are coming in, and Cloer knows that his customers will usually choose the cheaper car over the safer one, especially when they're only meant to protect some lowly contractor. And when all the insurgents need to do to defeat his newest vehicle is simply up the amount of explosives, staying in Iraq simply doesn't make good business sense anymore. So Cloer moves on to Afghanistan, knowing that the escalating violence there means more potential customers. And if he gets tired of Afghanistan, he knows he can always turn on CNN to find where else in the world someone will be needing his products. While Cloer is undoubtedly an interesting guy who gives you a unique perspective on war, sometimes it's hard not to feel like you're watching a 70-minute infomercial for Cloer's armored cars, even with the on-screen text that emphasizes the dark humor in Cloer's claims. Like Gunner Palace, filmmakers Tucker and Epperlein allow their subjects to speak for themselves in their own words. And Cloer is way too smart not to see the opportunities inherent in having a camera crew follow him around as he sells his cars. Cloer is always pitching, always hustling, and always in control of his image and message, even when it seems like he's just chatting. It's hard to watch the movie without thinking that if you needed an armored car and had the money, Cloer would be the guy you'd call, and I'm sure that's exactly what he wants you to think. While Bulletproof Salesman shows you the mindset of one particular salesman, it avoids some of the thornier issues around war profiteers, especially since Cloer's products are technically designed to save lives. But it's important to remember that Cloer is a relatively small fish in the war profiteering game, that there are huge corporations who stand to make billions from war, with battlefields serving as both the proving ground and showroom for their jets, missiles, and mercenaries. And when you think of the political and lobbying power of giants like Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, Halliburton, and Blackwater, it's easy to imagine war profiteers who don't just want war to happen, but have the power to actually cause it. I'm Jonathan Kim, and this is a ReThink Review.